Welcome to the Meta Behind Relationships. This is Gaylon McDowell. And today we're going to be talking about a powerful subject, the subject that we, in my opinion, all need to work on a little bit more, and that's true forgiveness. In relationships, you're always going to need grace because no one is expressing perfection. We all make mistakes. We all have misunderstandings. We all perceive things improperly. Sometimes we're reacting and being triggered by unconscious beliefs. And therefore, the necessity for forgiveness is always available to us. So to have this conversation about forgiveness, I'm going to bring yet again, the founder and CEO of the 5S for Love Network, Christine Burkett.
Hey, Gaylon, how are you today?
I'm excellent. How about yourself?
I'm excited. I think this is right on point for me. I need to really start looking at forgiveness. And I don't think I've kind of captured the right approach to it. I kind of do the forget part, but the forgiveness part is where I lack.
Okay. All right. Well, I think sometimes the challenge comes into play is when people say forgive and forget. Sometimes that's not necessarily wisdom. Forget the pain, forget the emotional, upset. But sometimes it's necessary to forgive and remember what you need to do to maintain your own boundaries and balance. What I mean by that, for instance, in certain circumstances, for instance, you can forgive someone for, who may have stolen something from you because they have a drug addiction, for instance.
Right.
Now, you can forgive it, release it, let it go, move on, start anew. But that doesn't mean you don't pay attention to the things that potential behavior that people who have addictions might display. So it's a tricky subject. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today, because everyone needs to work on it. And what does forgiveness mean and what does it not mean? How do you work with it? How do you know when to release, let go, and let God, and all of those different type of things? And again, I'm not giving advice as much as I'm giving people information and hopefully a way of thinking about it differently so you can do your own inner work, because this is the meta behind relationships. And part of this particular podcast is to help people discover their own inner wisdom, because I believe that it's within everyone. Therefore, if divine wisdom is within everyone, that some people call intuition, we can tap into it when we slow down enough and stop doing the rat race in our brain that's just constantly going on all the time. Slow down enough to be able to hear the instructions. When I say hear, doesn't always mean like you hear something in your inner ear. It could just mean that you get some inspiration, you get a sense of peace, you'll get an image, you'll get a vision. Sometimes you might hear something that says, slow down, stop, look at it differently. It all changes based upon the individual. But the main thing is, if you can't slow down your own mental and emotional tsunamis that just happen because of circumstances, what
Right.
ends up happening is you'll miss the inner guidance that's always available. I'm a big believer that God is always talking to us, but we're often not listening.
Yes. I believe in that as well. I believe he talks to Christine a lot. And I think Christine sometimes is just moving at the speed of light with everything that I'm missing what he's saying. But sometimes I'm telling you, I'll walk right into a wall and he'll say, "Now are you listening? Now
Well,
are you hearing me?"
well, sometimes it takes the wall. When we were growing up, they had a saying, hard head,
Yes.
soft behind.
And I'm trying to avoid that soft behind situation. I really do. I try to put a lot of effort into avoiding that. But you know what? It's just life itself sometimes. And so for you, like you know me, I just want to get right in because I'm
Yeah.
ready. And you guys know, one, this is a pre-recorded session. Please leave your comments for us in YouTube and on Facebook. We will respond to you. And I like your challenges. You have a homework assignment all the time. And although I'm here with you, Gaylon, I'm always doing it. Like I rewatch this on TV so I can just be immersed in the moment and not be in the moment with you right now. So I have
Understood.
to watch it just so I can get what I need. And I want to tell people like this is really great. So you guys already know I live by sticky notes. My sticky notes and pen. So I'm ready to go because I need to learn forgiveness. So the first question I have for you, what is forgiveness?
So first of all, forgiveness is a process of giving up the thoughts, beliefs, the error thoughts, the error beliefs, the error feelings, and getting back in alignment with the truth within you, your own inner wholeness, your own authentic being. It's the releasing of the pain and the embracing of the grace. I often tell people that forgiveness doesn't mean necessarily letting someone or yourself necessarily off the hook as much as it is releasing what you no longer need to think about, what you no
Okay.
longer need to feel, what you no longer need to believe, because forgiveness is an internal process that has literally nothing to do with anyone in your world. Now, you might extend forgiveness to someone else, but the forgiveness process happens within you. It's giving love for the hate. It's giving
Wow.
love
Love for
for
the
the
hate.
anger. It's giving love for. So you're giving for, like forgive, you're giving for. So you're giving, what are you giving? You're being in truth instead of in the ego, in the frustration, in the anxiety, in the fear, in the anger, in the position that you're in, mental position. So when
Of
I talk
wanting to
about
run them
forgiveness,
over. So
say
when
it
you're
again.
thinking, so what you're saying to me, my it's just one particular person. I won't name them. Uh, that if I see them, and God knows I'm a really good person, but I kid you, it's going to take everything I have to not take my foot off the brake. If I see them crossing the street in front of my car, I would be so tempted to just release the brake. So
Okay,
that's
so what?
anger. That's a lot of anger.
Yes, and
I'm
what
a
that's
nice person.
okay. So
But
first
they
of
did
all,
something horrible, Gail. I just want to say they did absolutely something so horrible to me that is I work diligently at. I'm not angry. It's just that if I see them, I think it's going to flare up, and it's just going to bring me back to that moment where I just, you know.
all right. So that's obviously saying that something is unresolved in your soul. That's one.
Okay.
That's not healed. That's
Mhm,
still a trigger. Now here's the problem, Christine.
mhm.
Uh, that the likelihood of you bumping into that person is small, probably because
Yes.
obviously we wouldn't be on this podcast because you'll be in prison right now. So,
It is.
so
It is.
therefore, the challenge is this, and I'm sure you've heard this before because of your own religious background.
Yeah.
As within, so without. Right? Last week we talked about you're the cause and the effect. Last
Yes.
season we talked about I meet no one but me. If
Yes.
it's in your consciousness, It has to find a way to express itself.
Okay.
All right. Now, it expresses itself in multiple ways. It can express itself, meaning that anger, that frustration, that is a state of consciousness. It's dense. And ain't no other way for me to say it. Dense, negative, frustrated
Yeah.
energy, vibrationally.
It is.
Okay, that pulls you down, and it can interrupt your money. It can interrupt your life, world, and affairs. It can interrupt your cells. Why? Because your body believes every word you say. You think about something or something that's similar. What is it triggering biologically, chemically in your body, hormonally? It can think, I don't know if hormonally is a word, but anyway, it's going to be a word for today. So we have to be mindful that holding on to things within our consciousness has to find a way to express itself. Because here's the thing. Consciousness always demonstrates itself.
Say
one
that
way or
again.
another.
Consciousness
always demonstrates itself. All right, I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
Many years ago, I was teaching one of my favorite books. Shout out to the author who wrote it. A Unity minister named Gary Simmons wrote a book called The Eye of the Storm. And I wasn't expecting to talk about this today, but obviously it's being pulled out. When the book first came out, maybe 2002, 2003, something like that, I read it, and I consider it a top 5 book all time, to be honest with you. So, Gary, this is your plug. Your plug, Gary. I know Gary. We're we chat on Facebook from time to time. I've actually interviewed him about some things as well.
Okay.
But anyway, so as I'm teaching the class, I gave my classes an assignment, and I said, I want everyone to work on this process of release. The eye of the storm is basically saying that life is the storm,
right?
And the I within you is not EYE, but capital I, the God presence in you. How do you get connected to the God presence in you in the midst of the stuff that's going on in your life, world, and affairs, your experiences? So I had the class go to a Walgreens or wherever they can find a greeting cards and find the most expensive card that they could, saying the nicest things that they can think of in the card. So you go buy the most expensive card. That's the one that has that's the nicest, like thinking of you, thank you, you're the best, whatever card ever. I had them mail the card to someone that they have issues with anonymously. Now, why did I have them do it anonymously?
That's what I need to know. Like, why did you do it anonymously?
Because I didn't want them to have their ego take credit for it.
Oh, okay.
I wanted it to be a complete surrender. I said, I don't care if it's work, I don't care if it's family. And I said, I'm not trying to justify anything that they did, because wrong is wrong. I said, nor am I asking you to reconcile with the person, because I teach and believe that forgiveness is an internal process where you free and release yourself. All right. So everybody in the class did it except for one person. Now, when I was asking the class about it, first of all, the struggle of going to the store, spending money to drive to the store, spending time in that greeting cards aisle, finding the most expensive card that said the nicest thing, that in and of itself had to confront the energy within them.
Yes.
Okay. Confront. Then mailing it anonymously, and now their ego can't even get credit for. I let this person off the hook. Look how holy I am. Look how much grace I have.
Exactly.
Jesus said, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Just do it because it's the right thing to do without credit.
Okay.
Now, the one lady who didn't do it, God bless her soul, no judgment, no judgment. Okay, everybody has to be where they are. She just said, Reverend Gaylon, I couldn't do it. And I said, why? She said, well, you don't know my brother and what I went through, and et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't press it.
Okay.
What I said to her was this: Do you want to be whole?
Right.
Okay, I get that. Do you want to be whole? Whole conversation. Do you want to be whole? I said, because right now you're conflicted because you're confronted with
Right.
something that you're holding on. You aren't around your brother. He is an occurring part of your life.
Wow.
And you want to get to the destination of a healthy, happy, and prosperous life by
Right.
only looking in the rearview mirror.
Right.
So you can be right or you can be whole.
Wow.
I have another story, but I don't
I
know if
don't
you
feel like you're talking to me right now in this moment.
okay, all right. I have another story that's even better than this one. But
Okay.
because forgiveness is a thing for me. Okay.
Okay.
It's a real thing. And you know, going through the process of understanding forgiveness, what I was challenging that young lady to do was to understand what I knew was going to happen when I gave everybody the assignment.
Right.
Everything that's connected, every thought, every belief, every feeling that's connected to that individual will be pulled up at the time. And will you have the will to go forward, to release yourself? I believe things come up to be healed, but when things are triggered and they come up, either you deal with it or it goes back down and gets suppressed and it starts to mess with your life again because it's entangled
Right.
around other things.
Right.
So when you deal with it, you feel lighter you know, emotionally, mentally, physically, often. There are people who have literally received massive physical healings. I've been working in the ministry full time for 20 almost 22 years now. 22 years now. And part time for 26, 27, 20, a long time.
Right.
I can tell you that forgiveness heals the body.
I feel like I'm having my own personal session. It's upsetting me because I actually have to go to commercial break because I feel like you're talking to me in this moment. But yeah, can we make sure we pick up right here
Sure.
on that? Okay, so guys, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
My business. 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 My business.
Yeah, what's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please none of the talks, I heard enough of it. Like, what you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this, don't talk about it. Really on the move, on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't talk about it. Real eyes, real lies all the time. Stand on it, if we said it, we don't walk around it. Loose lips, ain't shifts, red cup, blue strips, new phone, who this? No, we don't allow it. Really on go, I don't know what's an off day. Now we on road, came from smoking in the hallway. Now we got shows, boys feeling like Broadway. Always look both ways, even on a crossway. Driving down Cross Bay, out town Barclays. Really on big things, came up a small way. Championship rings, baby, that's a ball game. Oh, she want a little bag, baby, that's small change. Yeah, that money talk. If we ain't cool, then cut me off. No break.
Okay, Gaylon, we left off. You were talking about the impact of forgiveness on your body, health. Okay, so that's really big for me. So I'm listening.
Okay, so obviously in my everyday life, outside of being a speaker, podcast host, teacher, and all the other things I do, obviously I'm a minister in the field of metaphysics. It's specifically New Thought metaphysics. New Thought is a movement that basically started off as a spiritual healing movement. And one of the things that uh, we emphasize in this movement is the mind body connection.
Okay.
And what that looks like is simply this. Let me tell it this way: a person you would know, Myrtle Fillmore. She's a co-founder of Unity, which is one of the branches of New Thought. And Myrtle Fillmore was a woman who had in the 19th century tuberculosis, and she and her husband Charles Fillmore, the other co-founder, went to hear a person speak on Christian metaphysics. And the person said, "You are a child of God, therefore you do not inherit sickness."
Mm-hmm.
That was a statement that stood out to her. She started to work with it. And in the process of her affirmative prayer, forgiveness, and understanding what I would call spiritual and mental principles, she healed her body. But she wrote in a little booklet, and people can Google this. I'm sure it's available online somewhere. It's called How I Found Health.
Yep.
It's a little pamphlet. And in the pamphlet, she talks about what I would consider a process. People might not traditionally understand it as forgiveness, but I do. She said that the body is made up of three components: life,
Mm-hmm.
substance, meaning form. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
life meaning activity, substance, form, and intelligence or mind. Okay. And what she discovered was, in the process of not only her healing, but helping other people get dramatic spiritual healings, was that the life and the substance or the activity and the form is guided by intelligence. Okay. So she would speak to her body. She would ask her body for forgiveness. She would talk to the organs that were upset. She would speak to the cells of her body. She would ask for forgiveness. She would ask for release, and she would speak life to it. Now, what was she doing? She was releasing energy, pent up energy, low
Right.
vibrational thought and feeling, and replacing it with higher vibrational thought, beliefs, and feelings. And through that process, she healed her body, because she said, okay, this life, this substance that make up my form, what I call body, is intelligent.
Right.
All right. But here's the challenge. It's intelligent enough to believe every thought you think, every word you say, every belief you have, every feeling that you carry.
Right.
And we impress upon those things that either create disruption in our bodies, or it interferes with the natural healing process that would eliminate disruption. All right. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like in real time? As we forgive, as we release erroneous thoughts, the anger, the frustrations, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
if the mind and body are connected, and there's a form of science that goes along with this what did they used to call that? Was it psychoneuroimmunology? I forgot the term now. It's not in my head because I wasn't planning on talking about this, Christine.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm sorry. The conversation just kind of shifted. You know?
It just shifted. I wasn't planning, so I wasn't prepared to talk about this. But they're studying more and more of this on the mind's effect on the body.
Okay.
And they've discovered that the more a person is lighter and lighter in mind, meaning not burdened with frustration, anger, doubt, anxiety, the better the attitude, the happier the person, the better people respond to treatment, the better people respond to not having as much treatment, and they have things that what the world calls remission. Matter of fact, Dr. What's his name? Bruce Lipton. He talks about spontaneous remission. And these subjects are being talked about amongst doctors, but it doesn't necessarily make it to the doctor's office when you're sitting in the chair. Why? Because there's obviously consequences around teaching somebody who can't mentally do what they need to do. Now, bringing this back to forgiveness. If I'm holding something energetically, it has the potential to show up physically. All right. Now, Louise Hay, who was the founder of Hay House, a big company, she was a New Thought science of mind practitioner.
Okay.
Is another branch. They call themselves Centers for Spiritual Living now, but back when I got in New Thought, it was religious science, science of mind. And she wrote a whole book on metaphysical causes for physical ailments. What are the core beliefs that stand behind things? You can believe it or not believe it. Here's what we're aware of. People already know they can stress themselves out and affect their organs. People already know that they can have anxiety and create ulcers and growths and things of this. This is common knowledge. It's not something that people think about. People already know that stress, anger, frustration can upset the heart. You know, people get so angry they have a heart attack. People already know that frustration and anger can create blood pressure issues. People already know that these things can what's the best way for me to say this? Create strokes.
Yes.
This is common knowledge. Now, so the more I learned how to be in alignment with the truth of my being and not allow myself to get overwhelmed by avalanche of emotion, the more we have the ability to function properly, mentally and physically. This is why forgiveness is so important.
And that's the reason why I need to stop thinking I should take my foot off the brake. Okay. And I'm going to take, and I'm going to rewatch this. You know, I always tell people I'm letting them in on my own private personal counseling session with you. But this one I'm going to have to rewatch. So I want to talk to you more about the forgiveness. Why it's so important in relationships.
Right. Well, it's important in relationships because everybody has a paradigm through which they see life. Nobody just sees life as it is. You see life as you are.
Okay.
And because we all have our own points of view that are unconscious and unsaid, but very present, a very present context, it's necessary to step back and realize that if you want grace, you have to give grace.
Right.
All right. That everyone is going to make mistakes from time to time. Everybody's going to misinterpret something that is said or done. Some people, we're all in the process of growing. We're all in the process of becoming. And if this person is worth it to you, then they should be worth your extension of forgiveness. Now, that doesn't mean that that automatically means that a person needs to be in your life.
Okay.
All right. You can extend forgiveness. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother used to say to me when I was a little boy, baby, some people you have to love with a long handle spoon. And that meant long handle spoon meant from a distance. That was her metaphor. I'm not saying she made it up. I don't know. It was probably a Mississippi saying, but you know, where she grew up. But I always kept that in mind.
Yeah.
That
I gotta keep that
just because I forgive does not mean that I want you in my life.
Right.
As Susan Taylor used to say, everybody's not healthy enough to have a front row seat in your life.
Yes.
So, but in the context of relationships, as you're interacting with another human being, living in the same space, having shared responsibilities, it's necessary to be able to give some grace. Some people are so hard on themselves that they can't give grace to anyone else. Some people are so judgmental about themselves and about life in general. They don't
Right.
give grace to anyone else. And here's the problem with that. If you're a person who is so hard that no one ever has a soft space to land, then you're not giving yourself or that other person an opportunity for growth, for
Right.
understanding, for an opportunity to support each other. Because
Mhm.
trust me, your day will come when you misperceive something, where you don't understand what's happening, where you wrongly evaluate what's happening. And
Right.
then when you want the grace, the only thing you're going to get is tit for tat.
I like, you know what you just said makes so much sense. So, a lot of times people think that there's like this shortcut to get there. So can you tell me, why do you call forgiveness the shortcut to spiritual growth?
Well, I call forgiveness the shortcut to spiritual growth because I have a belief that there's something radically right about the human being. You know, I've said that often to you.
Mhm.
I believe that before you get to the physicality of a human being, that we're spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual law. Therefore, the authentic me is perfect, whole, and complete. This personality me and this physical me is a process that still needs work. However, the more I learn how to release, let go, and let God, the more I learn how to forgive, the more I learn how to let stuff go, the more
Right.
the authentic version of me, the spiritual me, the empowered me can express itself. So it's not so much spiritual growth is addition.
Right.
Often spiritual growth is subtraction. Let me get rid of what's interfering with the brilliance that God created in
Right.
through and as me to shine forth.
To
So when I
shine.
forgive, it's basically it's almost similar to having windows that are really dirty, but the sun is shining outside, and then you start cleaning the windows, and the more you clean the windows, the more the sun shines in.
I like that. You know what, folks? We're going to go to quick commercial break. And I just want to say, I know I got some dirty windows. I'm not going to say they got mud on them, but they could use some cleaning. So if you have not captured what you need to capture from this moment, you better get ready, because when we get back, we're going to continue the conversation around forgiveness and look at some steps. Because I think a lot of times we think forgiveness is easy and it's going to happen instantaneously. Gaylon just gave us the shortcut, but it takes practice and you have to consistently work at it. And I know for me, I'm an easygoing person. This one person, Gaylon, I'm going to go get that card, like you said, and I'm going to send it anonymously, because I think I need to do that so I can work through some things. And it's not for them, it's for me. So I'm going to do that. So guys, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Welcome back to the Matter Behind Relationships. All
So,
right,
Gaylon,
Christine.
I just want to say, what did you say? I have to get the most expensive card?
Yes, the most expensive card and the card that says the nicest things.
The nicest things.
Yes.
That's going to take me a minute. And you're right that's going to take time for me to kind of get the nicest card with the nicest thing.
And let me just be present to this because I realize that
Yes.
some people have gone through some horrific things with people.
Yes.
And I understand
Yes.
what my perspective on life is, that I'm challenging people to mastery,
Okay.
not just survival. All right. Now, I realize from a survival standpoint, this is exceptionally triggering.
Yes.
All right. But I believe that the greatest masters don't create students, they create more masters. So do you want to walk in the, not you, I'm speaking universal you. Do you want
Right.
to walk in mastery? Or do you want to be considered a person of surviving life and having to react and be at the whim of your own emotions? All right. You know, the woman who taught me, the legendary Johnny Coleman, Reverend Dr. Johnny
Yes.
Coleman, who was a master
Amazing woman.
minister for 50 years
Yes.
and an absolute giant.
Yes.
She would often say, you are the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing.
I just want to say that's written on my mirror when I wake up in the morning. I read that. And you're right. And again, a lot of people have been through a lot of different traumas. And I have to say this one is something I need to get through, because you're right. Even though for me, I feel like it's not a part of where I'm at in this space. But when I look at it through those lenses, you're right. Because there's a lot of things happening subconsciously in my space that maybe this is playing a major role in it, because I need to just get past this and move forward.
Right. So
yeah.
what ends up happening is it's almost a sense that someone is assaulting you daily because the belief is still with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing for a person to do something that causes you pain.
Right.
It's another thing to keep the pain, and therefore that person is consistently with you all the time, interfering with your life while they've moved on. People who are abusers normally are so busy doing their thing, they're not even thinking about who they abuse. Now you're living with the abuse and they've moved on and they're doing whatever they're doing. And you're the one that's still in bondage. Therefore, do you want to be whole?
I do.
And I got to move on. To do it. Because just going to that store, trust me, driving in that car, the whole process, your mind is screaming at you.
Oh, it's going to be, I'm doing it today, even though it's snowing, and I've got to head back to the office and do some more work. But I'm going to say this, I'm going to the store today and I'm going to dedicate 30 minutes to this, finding the right card, the most expensive card. And then if can I add some stuff to the card, or just don't add anything?
No.
Just mail the card.
Yeah. I've even told people, if the person you need to forgive lives in a house with you, have somebody else write it and mail it to your own home.
Because my signature is a dead giveaway.
Right. Not, because some people know your handwriting.
Yeah.
Or I would tell people, create a label and put it on the out. Don't write anything inside the card. Just the card is the card.
Okay.
You can create a label if you need to address the person's name and address on it.
Okay.
Stamp. Therefore, you don't want to use your own handwriting.
Right.
You want to use a label. You can have somebody else write it, but in this modern computer world,
create that label and stick it on there.
Right. You can create a label. Now, some people might not ever open it. Here's the thing. It has nothing to do with the person opening or not. Somebody sent me an anonymous letter. I'm not going to open this. It's your process.
Exactly.
And if they do read it, the first thing they're going to be thinking about is, who sent me this letter? It helps them connect.
It helps them connect.
Because even the most despicable person, I believe, still has that authentic spiritual self that they're magnificently hiding.
Exactly.
All right. So it gives the opportunity for that person to have a healing. But more importantly, it helps you through your actions release,
Right.
and you release stuff. See, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I released it, I let go, I let God, but this exercise is real time for a person to put that postage stamp, to take that greeting card to the mailbox.
Ooh, honey.
And the most important part of the process is
Mhm.
that the ego can't take
Credit for it.
credit. That's the most important part of it all, because we love to be perceived as better
We
and as
do.
holy and
Yes.
above.
Yes.
So at least if we're going to do something, we want to let people know that we're doing it.
Right. But
Lord
not in-
knows I'm not going to do something so righteous and let and
and
not let
nobody
anybody know
knows.
that I'm the one who's the righteous one.
I'm the one that sent this. You're right. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it, for a couple people. And I'm going to send it out today. I'm actually going to pick up 4 cards today, and I'm going to send it out. I'm going to follow that direction. You know what I want to know? I want to know how is this the liquid plumber to the soul? I need to know that part.
All
When
right.
you
So
say that, how is it the liquid plumber?
so when people have a clogged pipe,
Mm-hmm.
all right, that means either something's not going out or coming
Mhm.
in. It stops the process that allows the function of the sink or whatever, washing machine or whatever. But let's use the analogy of the sink.
Mhm.
All right. Now, what does liquid plumber do? You pour it in and it eats away at the debris that blocks the natural flow of the water.
Yes.
All right. Forgiveness addresses the mental debris, the emotional debris
Okay.
that interferes with the natural flow of life energy,
Okay.
the natural flow that heals, that blesses, that prospers, that guides. It interferes with that debris interferes with how we normally function as spiritual beings.
Okay.
So the freer I get, the more I'm in the flow. The
Hmm.
freer I get, the more opportunities present themselves. The freer I get, the more
Right.
possibilities I see. The freer I get, the lighter my body feels. The freer I get, the more emotionally balanced I am. Liquid plumber literally eats away at the stuff that interferes with the natural flow. You and I and everyone else that's
Yes.
listening to this podcast were created by the Creator to flow naturally in a
Right.
blessed state. And when we're not flowing naturally in a blessed state, something is interfering. The something is within us.
Wow.
Our thoughts, our beliefs, our
Yes.
feelings, our mental contents, the paradigms, the context, the points of view that we hold, which are their own form of energy that's interfering with our blessings.
Wow. Gaylon, you know what? You always come up with that little home run. You just get up to bat and just knock it out. Like that just basically you are creating these situations internally and embodying them. But if you just clean all that out, it's going to open up a whole different perspective on things. Like you're not carrying that extra weight. And I think that's something that people really need to look at because, I don't think at some point, I don't think people even realize what they're upset about. It's like you just carrying it for so long. It's like, do you even know why you're still upset? Now, for me, I know why I'm still upset. I want to keep it real. I know this one particular situation I do. The other 3, I don't know why they may be upset with me. So I think I just need to apologize. They've never said that they're upset or angry with me, but I just think I need to just tell them, I apologize for whatever it is, right? So I'm going to look for the most expensive, apology card out there asking for forgiveness. I don't know what I've done. And every time I've tried to approach the situation to talk to them about it, I think it's more so, and we talked about this, me being me sometimes is a conflict for other people. And I don't know how to manage that because I'm just me. And my intent is never to take over a space or a situation but it's just my personality. So I think sometimes I need to just, let people know, hey, don't mean to step on any toes or whatever, but I'm good. I hope you're good. Let's hug it out. That's me. I mean, and some people carry it for, they're going to be carrying this probably for 4 months, 6 months. I don't know. Cause it's been going on now for 6 months. So I don't know. So I just think I need to just reach out.
Well, first thing is send the cards anonymously. If you want to send
Yes.
forgiveness cards later, then you can do that.
So what am I sending anonymously first?
The card, as I stated before, send cards to someone, whoever.
Okay.
The most expensive, nicest card that
Is
says
it
the
a thank
nicest
you
things.
card?
It can be a thank you. It can be whatever. It can, as long as it says the nicest things that you can find.
Nicest things.
Okay. Now those would go anonymously. What you just did was throw Christine in the midst of this. So the assignment, if you want to take it, is to send it anonymously. Then on the back end of it, if you want to send a card later that just says, hey, if I've offended you, hey, whatever, I apologize.
Send the forgiveness after. Okay, so just send
because
these
the process is for your ego to get out of the way.
Right. Okay.
So this process is not personality to personality. This process is spirit to spirit.
Okay, got it. Check.
All right. Now, if you want to do the other process later, God be the glory, go forward and do what you got to do. But I want to make sure that because here's the thing. Even if you don't think you have upset around it, and it's primarily them, you do. Because here's the thing. It's written in A Course in Miracles. I'm never upset for the reason I think. So we think we know why we're upset.
Right.
But it's never for the reason we think. The upset is the meaning that we give a thing.
Right.
All right. So as you're interacting with a significant other, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or family members, friends, whatever, you're still dealing with the primary belief that you're upset for the reason you think, but the upset is perception.
Right.
All right. For example, do you speak Mandarin?
No.
Okay. So if I understood Mandarin, I could get on this podcast right now and say the most despicable and horrible things to you right now. And you would just smile because you wouldn't know what I was saying.
No idea.
Because those words have no meaning to you. So is it what I'm saying, or it is what you encounter that upsets you?
Wow. Now that's what you just said is like an epiphany moment. Is it what I encountered or what you actually said?
Because if it doesn't have any meaning, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You know what? Sometimes I feel like I just want to take you and just take this moment and put it in a capsule and put it on a shelf for me to take it off and be like, you have those moments you just want to take them, put them on the shelf. This is one of those moments because that's really big. I don't even think you understand how big that is, what you just said.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where a lot of people get lost in all of this.
Yeah. And this is why people don't understand forgiveness.
This is why.
Because they have these perceptions, sometimes based upon religion, sometimes based upon family and things of that nature, that one doesn't justify their upset. And I'm not telling anybody they don't have a right to be upset.
Right.
I'm not telling people that they should justify letting bad behavior people in their lives.
Right.
All right. I'm not victim blaming or victim shaming.
Right.
What I'm inviting people to is wholeness. Do you want to be whole? That's all.
And that's a big thing. Folks, I'm going to tell you, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk about the difference between traditional forgiveness and true forgiveness. And Gaylon got a homework assignment. So all I got to say is get ready, because I think my book of my libraries has been growing, Gaylon, since I met you. Like Gaylon is always like, oh, you need this book, you need that book. And people say, well, Christy, when do you find time to read? Well, someone taught me, instead of watching TV before I go to bed. I can read a book before I go to bed. Or while I'm taking a moment, sometimes that meditation moment, you kind of meditate on what it is, and then I do audiobooks. So I've been doing better with getting a lot more reading in because I've been kind of changing up techniques. And the other thing is I have books in every room. So when I go to a room, I'm picking up that book to finish what I've read, and that room kind of encompasses what I need to be in that moment, right? And I just shut down. So even in my studio here, there's a book. And it could be a book that Gaylon referred, or it could be a murder mystery. You never know. But regardless, I'm learning something from each one of those tools. Folks, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
I need it all. Do you want it though? Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. And through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merge. 6 figures was a goal, now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, now swerve. No time for the snakes, trying to put them in the dirt. That's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, I don't know sleep. I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. And through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, same circles to the same gang. We just get to it, we don't gangbang. Lost some friends to the same thing. Keep a low pro.
Hey guys, welcome back. Just to let you know, this is a pre-recorded session. Please leave all your comments for us, either in YouTube or Facebook, and we do like Instagram as well. We would love to hear from you, and Gaylon loves to hear from you guys. If you guys didn't notice, we have a show on tomorrow, which is Real Talk with the Men. Then we have 60s to New 40, which is on Friday with Gerald Robinson. And then we have the Finance Squad, which is on Saturday. And then we have Dr. Shelley, who is on Sunday. So you ask yourself, we are on 7 days a week, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night. Gaylon, I'm going to tell you, this is like the glam slam for me. Like, this is the home run. What is the difference between, traditional forgiveness and true forgiveness? Because I think some people are mixing it up, and that includes me. I'm in that bowl. So what is the difference between the two?
Well, in my opinion, true forgiveness, let me start with traditional forgiveness. Traditional forgiveness has been taught as forgive and forget, as you said. Let, at times, bad behavior people back in your life. It's been, you versus another individual, letting them off the hook. So, okay, this bad behavior person over here, I'm letting this person off the hook, quote unquote. And that's okay. I'm not saying anything wrong with traditional forgiveness.
Yeah.
I just think there's another level to it. So, in my opinion, true forgiveness is based upon a statement I read many years ago, Christine, and it's by Gerald Jampolsky, who wrote about forgiveness all the time. He wrote, "Forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past." Forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past. And what that means is nothing has to change for you to be free. They don't have to change. The past doesn't have to be different for you to be free. You don't have to reconcile with someone, because forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. You can choose to have a person in your life, but forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. That's true forgiveness.
Right.
True forgiveness is a process that only happens within your own being.
Okay.
Because forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past. Many people, when they are upset about something and they refuse to forgive, is based upon something that already happened.
Right.
They wished was different. They wish
Right.
someone treated them differently. They wish that they
Right.
acted differently. They wish the situation was different.
Yes.
So when you understand his words, forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past. That
Right.
means that I get the opportunity to accept what happened as is, and
Wow.
it doesn't have to be different for me to
Wow.
express my spiritual wholeness.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be different for me to be free.
For me to be free.
Yes, it happened. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it was horrible. Yes, all of that stuff. And I choose wholeness because forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past.
For a better
That's
path.
true forgiveness. Now, this is, I try not to throw too much religion into this podcast because I want it to be for everyone. But if you read, for instance, in the Gospels,
Right.
Jesus always addressed healing around the context of forgiving. People are coming up to him and they can't walk, they have ailments, they
Right.
can't see, they can't whatever. And he would say, your sins are forgiven. What does that have to do with my body?
Right.
The word sin, because we put too many moralistic concepts to it. In Hebrew means to miss the mark.
Wow.
These mistaken
Miss
beliefs,
the
these
mark.
mistaken thoughts, these mistaken perceptions, these mistaken concepts, these mistaken ideologies are forgiven. They're released. And as you release them, you express your wholeness.
Wow.
Because forgiveness means giving up our hope for a better past. And many people are angry and frustrated at their bodies for not working properly. This is why I tell people, bless your body, touch your body, appreciate your body, walk past the mirror and compliment your body. Why?
Right.
Because if you're angry at your body, that means there's some forgiveness. It's easy to get upset when the body doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, because when 99% of the body is working properly and 1% is off, we focus on the 1%.
We do.
The problem comes into play is as we praise, as we lift up the body, it actually responds.
Okay.
If we can praise a plant to health, you think it might be possible to praise a body to health?
That's a great way to think about it.
Because people say, people
they're
with a
not
green
thinking that
thumb,
way.
et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, folks, you can't send your body a forgiveness card. We're going to do real talk. You can't send your body a forgiveness card. That's not going to happen. So you really need to start focusing on what's the best way to kind of get through this process the right way, instead of just trying to do it like, I'm going to use myself as an example, just skimming over it like it's no big deal. And it is a big deal because it's impacting other things in my life. And I realized that in this moment, that's why I'm going to rewatch this again, because like Gaylon said, we're not saying some horrific things could have happened to you, and 100% understand that. But you got to go through this process for you. It's not for them. It's for you. And if you don't know their address, Gaylon, what do you do when you don't know that person's address?
Buy the card anyway. Go to the store, buy the card, do the whole process. And if you have to mail it to yourself, the process is still the same. Now, obviously, you can put some effort in to see if you can find it. And if not, you still do the process. See, you have to act yourself out of that mindset.
Right.
See, it's the actions that matter. So if you don't know the person's address, that's fine.
I was gonna say, if you don't know the person's address, and this is gonna sound totally just offlandish, but I'm an out-of-box thinker. If you don't know their address, but you know what state they live in or know what city they live in, send it to that post office, just so it goes where it needs to go, right? So you know that it's gone and you can move forward, kind of thing. And the other thing is, what about electronic cards? Like Hallmark has it where you can. No, we can't do that. Okay.
I want effort.
You say, what about the electronic card?
No,
I'm always taking the techie perspective.
Right. See, think about it is it's pulling out that cash, it's pulling out that debit card, it's driving, it's standing in that aisle while your emotional triggers are all going off.
Okay.
See, we want shortcuts. Obviously, everybody loves a shortcut. Everybody loves a hookup. But the problem is you don't get microwave truth. You got to cook it in the oven.
Did you just say you don't get microwave truth? Where do you get this stuff from? I love that you was like, you don't get microwave truth. You got to cook it in the oven. I love that. You just be coming with it like boo, boo, boo. See, now that's going to be in my head. Yeah. I like that. You don't get microwave truth. You got to cook it in the oven.
Yeah.
Gaylon, I'm telling you, you bringing the magic. So listen, what is our homework assignment for this week?
Okay, well, I'm actually have to have more now. So the first one was I have a YouTube video called The Forgiveness Process. So if you look up my name and you type in the forgiveness process, it comes up. It's a sermon that I did many years ago where I really take time and go through the process. And I think that it can be beneficial to you to help you understand how you can work with your own forgiveness. You know, I also said earlier about getting the How I Found Health by Myrtle Fillmore. It's also another pamphlet it floats around on the internet. It's called A Sure Remedy by her husband, Charles Fillmore. And it's basically an actual process. What do you do? How do you forgive? How do you speak the word for forgiveness? How do you release? And I think it's something that can be very beneficial to you. And if people want to do more of a deep dive, obviously The Eye of the Storm by Gary Simmons or Heal Your Life, I think that's the name of it, by Louise Hay, that deals with some of these metaphysical causes for ailments. These are things that you can read, but the primary homework is watch my forgiveness process video on YouTube.
Okay, good. So guys, when you watch this, you'll see the link on all social media sites. So you can go ahead and click that link and you can watch it. And Gaylon, as always, I say thank you, and you can go ahead and close it out. This is I want to say, I look forward to Wednesdays. It gives me a chance to look within. Because as I grow, I need to make sure that I'm growing internally the way I am growing externally, because there's a huge gap sometimes where I feel like there's a big question mark, and you kind of erase that question mark, right? And you come in with an exclamation mark. And to me, that's the make it so moment. And so I call these my Wednesdays make it so moments. So I just want to say, y'all, enjoy my one-on-ones with him. He's absolutely amazing, and I can't wait till you start hitting the road so everybody can get what I get. I think seeing you on stage, seeing that magic of you on stage is like something you guys have never seen. And when I tell you he brings it, you feel like you're in a full concert. So all I got to say is get ready to go, guys, because when he starts speaking, we're going to be putting those out there so you guys can start getting your tickets and booking to see this guy. He's definitely a rock star. Gaylon, thank you so much for being part of the 5S to Love Network. Much appreciated.
Beautiful, beautiful. So as we wrap up today's session, just remember, do you want to be whole? You can choose wholeness right here, right now. Because this is a relationship show, obviously you don't want your significant other to pay the price of your unresolved issues, your emotional pain, your anger, your triggers. So not only do you deserve the best version of you, but they do as well. So just be mindful that you have the opportunity to release and accept, release the old, release the past, and accept your own authentic spiritual wholeness. It's available to you. It's available to you right now. But you have to choose wholeness. You can keep fighting to be right. And this doesn't, again, diminish anything that you've been through in the past. I get it. But I'm calling you forth. I'm inviting you to mastery. So as you understand this, choose your wholeness. Do those exercises. Go out and buy that card. Watch that video. Do the work. Because it works if you work it. Take care.